Hello and welcome to the Kitbash, everyone. Here I'm going to examine various model kits and see how they stack up against the more recent kits in that line, and how accurate they are compared to the original unit if they have an anime or other sort of media. Not exactly complicated, but it should get the job done. Using the RX-78NT1 Gundam, high-grade UC number 191 as our baseline, we're going back in time to see how far the HG-UC line of models has come. And to do so, we're going to examine the RX-78NT1, or it's commonly known, the Alex. Following the realization that Amuro Ray, the pilot of the original Gundam, was such a good pilot that the prototype mobile suit was burning through parts, the Earth Federation attempted to build him a new machine in secret. The Gundam Alex had the same beam rifle and beam saber configuration that the original Gundam had, along with 90mm machine cannon secreted away in its arms. It was also equipped with a new sort of cockpit, a 360-degree panoramic cockpit that could show the whole battlefield at once, which was important for all pilots, not just the elite of the elite. It also had a strange set of ablative armor that came in handy against the Zeon strike force that threatened it before it even rolled off the production line properly. This is where it took its name, Armored Layers Experimental. The armor was thick but negated use of most of its built-in weaponry in exchange for being a walking fortress. Sadly, it was only so much metal and ceramic and was blown apart by the explosive weapons used on it. But the mobile suit itself was relatively unharmed. Between this and the reaction-improving magnetic coating on the joints, it was a worthy successor to the Gundam, even though it never saw battle with its intended pilot at the sticks. Christina McKenzie, Federation test pilot, took it into battle against the Zeon Spec Ops team, invading the secret base that the Federation had set up on a neutral colony. For more, go see Gundam 0080, War in the Pocket. However, the model kit may have its own set of issues to contend with outside of Zeon interference. Let's kick it to the live cam and see where we end up. So last time we looked at the RX-78-2, the revision, the model 191 in the high-grade UC line, and now we're going to look at his cousin, model number HG47 of the HG-UC line, which came out sometime earlier, clearly. So, without further ado, let's get him out of here. Let's bring on his cousin. Oh boy.
My kid brother looked like a tick about to pop.
What?
So, what we have to see here is the Alex in all of its glory, in all of its Chobham armored glory. Take that how you will. As you can see, it's fairly accurate, to a fault to the show. No panel lines here because this is a straight build, and the concept behind straight build is simply that. It's right out of the box. Again, one of these days I'll probably do a live stream or something where I panel line this stuff in, because that makes it a little more interesting and visually appealing, but I do not have that yet. As you can see, the Chobham armor, whoever designed that name needs to be shot, please, thank you, fits over the regular mobile suit. You don't have to replace anything or do anything too fancy schmancy to it to get the desired effect. However, it's... well, it is what it is. With that well in mind, then, let's bring in a friend. Worth noting that the Camphor, which was the adversary of the Alex in 0080 War in the Pocket, has a chain mine that fits rather nicely around it, so let's activate and see what happens. Anyway, there we have it. Now we have our hero. So here's our first problem. The armor on the shoulders is attached like so. This peg here goes like this, and fits there. So, it's also worth noting that this backpack comes off entirely and has 3 different pieces to it to put the unit back together. People always tell me I'm disarming. Getting the shoulder plating on is a lot easier than getting it off. Unfortunately, you can't just slide it over the top, which is a crippling design oversight in my estimation. But again, nobody asked me. So this pops off, that comes off there. This is just two pieces together. It's literally just giant metal plating that is protecting it. This is the most complicated part here. It has 3 pieces to it. Or 4 pieces to it, excuse me. It has this one on front. And then it all falls apart. Like that. Like this, like that. Like this, like that. There's a piece that goes on back here that sticks on maybe 50% of the time, and that might be due to my skills as a modeler, or it might not. Our heroic Gundam Alex. No longer weighed down by all that. Now getting in a fight and slowly walking away from the mean machine. So in response to some things that I was asked last time that I did this one, yeah, no, I don't usually split the skirts on a straight build. This is a time-honored tradition in the Gunpla community that you basically bust these 2 pieces off once you build it together. Make it so these move independently of each other for, you know, posing reasons, of course. However, the posability on this particular machine, aside from its kind of cool, like, karaoke poses, is not great. There's only one joint at the hips here. And this is about the range of mobility that you get out of it. You can do the kicks. Hey-ya! Hello, I'm the Gundam Alex, and I'm here to talk to you. You can kind of reach back to pull it out, but there's a reason that you don't really see this unit used a whole ton in, say, Gunpla animations. Because it doesn't move very much. Now, compare this to our good hip, you know, I can turn his damn legs back around and kick him in his own face. Also worth noting that it does not have that little peg in the... Oh, wow, hey, this just got R-rated, I think. The Alex does not have the peg in the crotch, so you will have to use this particular kind of gear to get it to work. It's also worth noting that the Alex has never been effectively shown in space, so maybe space fighting with it is kind of a non-canon thing. Our handy-dandy guide actually does not provide us with anything too terribly interesting on the posing front. However, it's always important to note that these were still top-of-the-line sorts of kit a long time ago, and this is still a very good model kit. I fear that if I talk too much about how I don't think that the model holds up to certain standards, then people will consider it to be a quote-unquote bad model kit. And just because the model can't kick itself in its own face doesn't mean it's a bad kit, it just means it's a somewhat differently designed one. However, there is a slight problem occasionally with models of this particular age. Models of a particular age have certain foibles to them, like their arm sockets don't work quite as well as perhaps they should. So here is your completed Alex. Does not have stickers on it, not yet, except for the eyes, because those are the worst. And I choose not to put stickers on them if this is a fresh build, because I feel it dilutes the strength of the model just in plastic. However, sometimes you just do a model and put the stickers on and don't think about how you're going to turn it into a YouTube show in, you know, 7 or 8 months. One of the more important features of the Alex is the Gatling Guns that hide in the wrist forearms, and I don't know really what the point of them was other than, hey, you know what's really cool? Gatling Guns? Let's put it on a Gundam and see what happens. That just pops up right there and goes daka daka daka, and bam 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 bam, blah, 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 and burns through lots and lots of ammunition and makes campers go yipe 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 yipe. The beam rifle itself is nothing really to write home about. It is a standard, typical beam rifle with no springs, no interesting things, nothing really going on other than you could conceivably grip it from the top if the hands were available, which they are not. This is a very, very bare bones kit, and most of the box space was given over to the Chop-Hem armor, which is necessary for certain things, I guess, but not really my cup of tea. The shield is kind of interesting. It has a big sticker on it that reads Alex, which is Armored Layers Experimental. I don't think that's a great name, but you can also see that it has spare clips from the beam rifle on it, which was a feature that would pop up first in the Gundam Mark II and then be retroactively added to Gundam Canon as the years went on. This is the Gatling gun. You can see that this is where it plugs in, and this is where it plugs in on there. It comes with two, one for each arm, as you may well imagine. However, they're not really that impressive. They're single-colored, like the show. And all in all, this is... For one of my favorite mobile suits, I will be the first to admit that I don't think this is a very strong model. Certainly not compared to its face-kicking cousin, and not really compared to some of the other models that were in the same line. It's also worth noting that the Camphor model, which was the primary new mobile suit that came out at the same time as Gundam 0080, is model number 89, as opposed to model number 47 in this line. And some of the ones that I have immediately around me right now from 0080 are numbered in the 80s for the Zeons, which make their models newer, quote-unquote, and in the 40s for the Federation, which means that the hero suits in this case don't really kick quite as good as the villain suits, but isn't that the way? So, well, I recommend if you love the Alex, then you should get the Alex model kit, though you may want to consider going for one of the higher grade versions if they are available. The HGUC is a fine kit, however, it is not what I would call the cream of the crop, especially compared to the newer ones. Additionally, because of the sheer brightness of the plastic used on the Alex, you will definitely want to put some panel lines and stickers on it, because otherwise it just looks like a big white blob. Other than that, it is a very basic kit for a surprisingly advanced mobile suit, and I think that that is just a crying shame. But what are you going to do, right? Sometimes you don't get to make that call, though I would love to see an Alex Gundam revive down the line like they did with the Gyan and the Gundam and the Gundam Mark II and some of the other units. I just don't really see it happening. I think I'm one of the only people out there who really, really loves this suit. But regardless of any of that, we'll kick it back to the studio and polish this episode off. So there you have it. The Alex is a perfectly serviceable kit on par with what else came out in that time frame, but nothing really to write home about. If we didn't have the newest iteration of the Gundam out, it may even look a little better by contrast, but as it stands, it's one of those products of its time sort of units. Stiff, gimmicky, but not unsalvageable, not recommended for playtime, but definitely recommended for sitting on a shelf. And as always, thanks for watching.